Oh yeah, baby, it's finally here. Nintendo Switch Sports. And I've been playing it nonstop since it came out, but is it good? Honestly, it's alright. Not gonna lie, it's alright. It's a solid game. Being honest, I expected it to be a little bad. Like, honestly, I felt it was gonna be underwhelming, but it's honestly a good game that's worthy of being the little cousin of Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. You know, kind of awkward, but you still keep him around. He's fun for parties. But there's still a lot left to be desired. So let's go over the good and the bad that makes up what is Nintendo Switch Sports. So, talking about the sports, this game only has sits. Yeah, it only has sits. Nintendo still cannot do more than 12 games for one sports game. Cause like, come on, why give us 12 for Wii Resort and then just cut back down, bro? Come on, just build up on that. But let's see, if the sports that are included are good enough at the very least. So what we got is bowling, tennis, badminton, and swords. Swordplay, so whatever. It's swords. Also soccer and volleyball, which are weird to me at least. They're a weird choice. So I'm gonna try and put them like in the order of how I found them to be most fun and least fun. So the least fun sport to play in this game is honestly it's volleyball. But before getting into it, I want to clarify that all of these sports are fun. They all have their own type of gimmick and fun. They're pretty addictive. I'm not thinking right now like, oh, I gotta play Nintendo Switch Sports, but if I turn it on right now and start playing, I could go easily for like 3 hours without a second thought. The Joy-Cons are extremely reliable and responsive. They're honestly very great. They work amazingly. I thought that with the size of the Joy-Cons, there was going to be a problem because the Wii remote was a little longer and my Joy-Cons are small and my hands are big. So like, I thought they were going to be a problem, but they weren't. The sports, when you get to play them, they're really fun. They're really responsive. The online works great, which is amazing. By the way, for everyone that doesn't know, the first match that you play when you go play globally is against a bot. Don't think that you're a god because you beat everyone 5-0 in the first match. It's because it's a bot. But let's explain why I think volleyball is like the most boring out of all of them. Like, so basically, volleyball, you just block and spike. You just do two things. Like, you can move side to side, sure, but it's the most passive game out of all of them. Considering that it's a sports game, you're always moving, you're always reacting. Considering how fast-paced the other ones can be, this one's honestly the slowest, the most predictable, and outright unfair sometimes, because since you're with a teammate, it also depends on how they play. So if you don't know who little Timmy is over there, he might just get you screwed. But then again, it's good to also work with teammates and be able to play with people online. But it's honestly boring that you can only spike and block, that there's no different type of shots, that you can't you can't set it up to the other side in case the other person, you don't spike it in time. But it's fine. It's a fine experience, but it's just the most boring out of all of these. It's honestly something I wouldn't write home about, although I'm writing about this right now. Next up would be soccer, and I would like to explain. This one is extremely fun. Like, apart from volleyball, the rest are extremely fun and they're really enjoyable times. But the reason that this one, kind of makes it so low is because it's only fun when you score. And hold on, I know what you're gonna say. Of course it's only fun when you score, you're winning. But it's a sports game, you win and you lose. But no, understand what I'm trying to say here. The field is big, and although you can dash with your Mii, the dash only gets you so far. It feels like the field is too big. It's like scoring gets a little hard, especially when you're playing with so many people. It's not like 2v2s, it's 4v4. So you basically end up, I walk here, I kick the ball, then the other person kind of kicks it back, and that's great. But it just becomes a back and forth of me just kicking the ball back and forth, and it's a little slow. So a lot of games are gonna end like 3-0 or 3-1 or 2-3. Like, it's gonna reach to its limit where you're kind of just running around trying to get to the ball rather than pass it to someone, because a lot of times people aren't gonna be near you to be able to pass, and it's gonna get intercepted. So if the field was a little smaller, I think it would be a little more fast-paced, like action, like high scoring. And I know that sports don't tend to be high scoring, but since it's a game, kind of feel like it needs that little spice of like getting into it, arcadey nature, since a lot of the Wii Sports Resorts, all of it kind of felt like, you know, arcadey type of mini games. You kind of go in, go there, and you always trying to best yourself, which is why in Wii Sports you had the Pro, and you were always going up against harder CPUs, and you just wanted to be better than what you did yesterday and beat this. Like, it's like objectives. But like, it's honestly fun. It's very responsive. Love it. After this one, there's tennis, and tennis, I'm bundling it up with bowling, because tennis and bowling are both solid options, work amazing, very responsive, but they're the most safe options, you know? They were like, Nintendo saw that they were doing this, they probably had the game already made or something like that, or maybe they were actually doing a sports game and they're just trying to use more customizable characters to have the incentive of people wanting to like come back to the game. And I'll get into that for a little bit and a little bit longer. But these two are like tennis, very fast paced, great response. It's built better than from Wii Sports, so it's like, it's obviously an improvement. It's great. Bowling, you have 100 battle royale bowling, you have normal bowling, you play with friends. The spinning works great, all of it. Spinning, yeah. And honestly, it's like, it's great options. They are solid, 10 out of 10. But they are very, I don't want to say vanilla, but they're like the middle ground. They're super safe options. They don't bring anything new to the table, and it's not something that I'm gonna be like, damn, I need to get on tennis right now. Maybe bowling. Bowling's a little bit over tennis. It's also, there's one problem, one obvious problem with bowling, and that's that you can't scare the Miis. Since there's no Miis, you can't toss the ball backwards and they will get spooked. No, not anymore. You can't spook them. Not anymore. The Nintendo said that's enough. That's too much. You gotta keep it PG. Can't risk kids trying to toss the bowling ball backwards in the lanes. And speaking of Miis, they are here. There are actual Miis. You can create your Miis because they've been in the Nintendo Switch since its release. You could create them in the settings. They're kind of hidden, but you can create them in the settings. Nintendo, when are you gonna update the UI? But they are here. Of course, they weren't. It's not like they're the focus of the game. They're trying to make. I don't know why they're doing that now, but they're trying to make that the Switch has a different vibe to the Wii. They're trying to take it away from the whole Wii aspect of it, and I think that has to do a lot with Wii U and Wii Sports Club, which were, you know, they weren't good, and them trying to like, you know what, this is the Switch, it's more colorful, you can add a lot of customizations, it's everything, it can do a lot more, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they look ugly at all, like the new Miis, I don't know what to call them, things. They're not ugly at all, they're actually quite well designed. It's a little confusing though when you want to design them sometimes. That's the only thing, but apart from that, do enjoy it a lot. And speaking of the customizations, there's a lot of it. Not that much, but they did add that so that there's an incentive for you to play the game, that you can win points, use it to redeem. Sadly, it's randomized like a slot machine. Use it to get items that you can customize your Mii with, whether that be stickers that you can emote, you know, during the game, or new items like rackets, bowling balls, volleyballs, badminton rackets, all of it. From clothing, facial things like mask and other things, hats, and eye colors, hairstyles, I believe as well. it's honestly something that I very much applaud, because it's a nice incentive for you to keep going and play the sports games, apart from wanting to like get into the pro league and switch sports and being the best. Because being the best gets you only so far when you're casual, because then you would be going to a competitive audience, and although there can be a casual audience, they're not going to get on the game as much if they aren't like incentivized. So that's a nice incentive to have, but you're still gonna need the Mii's. Like, the Mii's are honestly the most solid thing to have. I can't see a sports game without it. Like, how am I going to be able to play with John Wick, bro? Like, there's no other way. Now, getting back into sports, badminton. Yes, I think badminton is more fun than tennis in this game. And hold your torches. Let me explain. This game is extremely fast-paced. Like, since the court is so small and you can drop shot as well, spike and all that, it's really fast-paced, and I've had games where it's just back and forth, and I honestly really enjoy it. I think it's a great addition, especially with tennis that's super similar, but like they feel different. They feel different enough for me to say, like, you know what, that's a good choice. Gold star for Nintendo. And finally, you know, I think the best game in all of it is Chambara, you know, swords. Because honestly, it just brings out the weeb in me. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching too much Demon Slayer, and I just gotta wave it around. And I like how it's responsive. I like how they have options for swords. I like how when you fight someone, you can be toxic and just wave your swords around. It's a little, the only thing I will say, sometimes it doesn't register when I do a full swing, like left to right, or it takes above. So yeah, watch out when you go like a side swipe, because I know if you're like me, you kind of go diagonal instead of going like it's you know, exactly horizontal. Yeah, no, you need to be a little precise, because it reads all the movement, and sometimes it goes like, oh yeah, you're going with an overhead swing, and you aren't trying to go with an overhead swing, and you're gonna get parried, and yeah, deceased. But that's everything that includes Switch Sports. The single player is thrown out the window, which is extremely sad. You just have 3 difficulties, which is Powerhouse, Normal, and Strong. I did not say them in the order. And honestly, that's a little sad, because I believe that for Wii Sports, and the same thing for Wii Sports Resort, a lot of what made the game was being able to climb up the ranks into Pro League. Although there is in online, I think that at very least they should have added a little more incentive for you to play in single player as well. Because although you don't get points and you don't climb up the Pro League, you can go into like at least like a ranking system within it. Just classify it as something else, you know? Or like in Wii Sports Resort, where you get like certain stickers or emblems, like achievements. I think they should have added like an achievement thing that you could do in offline or online, you know, if you want to grind in online. But they should have added that the more wins you get, even if you don't climb up the ranks in single player, that at least like the CPUs get harder. No need to like put it in difficulty. It just goes based on your difficulty. And I do think that they might be able to add it in DLC, because that's not something they really need to be developing as hard. They can add it in the DLC the same way that they can add characters. And speaking of DLC, I think that's the route that this game is going. I don't think it's obvious that it's going that route. Golf is coming in summer, and honestly, I believe that sports like boxing, basketball, baseball, which are honestly 3 powerhouses in Wii Sports history, as well as I could say archery. You got 2 Joy-Cons and it's sweet. You can add archery from Wii Sports Resort. And I think they're gonna add it like in DLC, depending on how many sales they see. Because if they see that the game gets traction and honestly how fun it is, I highly recommend it. And golf coming is fun because it's honestly a very passive game that it's very fun to be able to mess around with your friends and kind of dare them to do stuff. It's fun. So I think that things like baseball, boxing, they will come in DLC later on. they might give a DLC, like a free DLC update for the single player, like they did for Arceus, where you could get like the CPU and have them be able to climb the ranks through there. It's obvious that they're gonna keep adding cosmetics and other things like that. It's something that's evident in the route that they're going in. They're trying to have this game be what defines the Switch sports saga, and instead of them wanting to produce another game, they're going to be trying to maintain the same game with more lifespan and get more money out of it, which is obviously more affordable for them. It's more, cost effective, because if you have a game, it has success, and then you build upon that again, but don't release another game, just add it to that same game, then that game that's already produced just gets more money, and then, more things. But, at all that, it's honestly a great game. It's solid. It's great redemption from Wii Sports Club. It's honestly the Switch Sports that we needed. Not the one we deserved, but the one we needed. But now that that's all the way, where's the Frisbee dog?